Is the fatigue real out there? Are people getting over classic and collectible cars? This is Bid Nerds. We're going to talk about that, make some predictions. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube card game show. Welcome, everybody. This is Bid Nerds. We are live, coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, as well as my partner, Michael Deeb, over there on the other side of the screen in San Francisco. No one in the middle today. We can actually do a show on our own, and I didn't even set up my background correctly. Look at that.
JP, I was clarifying with Lucas the bid turn. I was like, what, no guest tonight? And he goes, I think we all need a cleanse. So here we are. We are guest free. Thank you, Lucas, for having a better sense of humor than anybody I've ever met. By the way, so what's his name? Chris Carbine and Lucas the Bid Turn hung out on the East Coast at some big car event. Carbine had been campaigning that we should fly out to the East Coast for this car event, but after AutoFest, everybody's feet are sore and nobody was getting on an airplane. But those two connected at that event, which I forget the name of. But they hung out and sent us pictures, and now we know that the Lucas the Bid Turn is a real person and not AI generated. So, Carbine, I'm insanely jealous that you know my own our bid turn better than we do. But there you go, Lucas. Thank you for everything, Carbine. So, for carrying the flag, those guys are great.
Those guys are awesome. All right, guys, welcome to the show. If you are new to the program, what we do here is we analyze listings on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, sometimes Car Market, and then we make predictions. What will be the result of our analysis? What will be the result of those listings? That's what we do here twice a week. So thanks for hanging out. And for those of you who are watching live, this is the best way to watch it. If you haven't introduced yourself in the chat, we call it the Nerd Herd. That is the best way to experience Bid Nerds. It's a lot better. You're going to find great friends in there, and you're going to have a lot more fun than just listening to us to Yahoo. So thanks for hanging out, everybody. Let's get to it, Michael D. We covered a lot of cars. We had a very big deal guest on the last episode. That was John Claywolf. Talk about, we have had just a swing of great guests, one after the other after the other. Each time we're like, how could we get any better than this? And then we get the old school radio guy, and boy, did he struggle with our format. He had a few too many. And before we get to the first car on the list, for anyone who endured the last episode, I knocked this out just for you guys. John, if you're watching out there, thanks for having come on the show. And I think by the time he had gotten on it, well, you know what? Here's John Claywolf. Just a quick little homage to our guest from the last episode. We've never done this for a previous guest, but here you go, guys.
I had 4 on the airplane home from Vegas, and I had 3 at dinner, and I had 2 here.
Yeah, that's a tribute to our good friend John Claywolf from the last episode. Maybe you should be drinking if you're watching this show. We do prefer that you not get completely blotto when you join us, but maybe if you've seen that, I just wanted to tee everyone up with that because maybe that'll make some of his bids make more sense. He was doing really good at the beginning of the show, and then it just went downhill from there. All right, what was the first car on the list? Michael D., what do we got?
Yeah, that was definitely the first time I can remember our show being completely shanghaied and held hostage by the guest. But Claywolf was a good sport, and it was fun to have him on. Thank you for all of that. Anyway, moving on. JP, we are going to circle right back to our first car, which was my car, a car that I had the good fortune of representing on the podcast and in the real life. Bring a Trailer. JP, take a look at this 2009 Porsche 911 Carrera S Coupe out of Lodi, California. This was a car that the owners have enjoyed over the last 12 or 13 years, but due to some unfortunate turn in health, it become apparent that they were no longer able to continue to enjoy the car. The car basically was seldom used over the last handful of years. And then it was alerted to me to reach out and connect with these folks. I took Kevin. We ran out to Lodi, JP. We grabbed the car and went out to St. George Winery, where we shot these beautiful photographs in the setting sun. JP, you might be the only one in the herd who will appreciate apparently how difficult it is to shoot a brown metallic car with a very low, bright sun in the middle of summer. Shout out to Kev, the photographer, for all his extra effort in post-production to make the car look as beautiful as it actually is in real life. Macadamia Metallic, JP, is the name of our rare shade. I kept referring to it as root beer metallic, but Porsche calls it macadamia. And as soon as this car dropped on Bring a Trailer, all of the first 12 to 25 comments were in reference to how pretty this particularly unusual shade is on our 997.2 S specification car. Car had just 62,000 miles and a PDK. There was, unfortunately, a little smash up in the car's history prior to the current owner's ownership of the car. Some paint work was noted on the Carfax, and ultimately we kind of figured that that would tip the scales and prevent us from perhaps setting a new record number with the car. Considering fair mileage, fair condition, and a rare shade, the Carfax might keep this one in the park. JP, our friends at classic.com have a special column just for 997.2s with a PDK. In this instance, an S Coupe PDK 7.2 is typically a $53,000 car in the secondary market. I recused myself from bidding, but JP, you carried the mantle and said that the high 50s were in order. Your bid reflecting that at $59,997. And John Claywolf, who initially said he didn't like the color and said that he would hit the car at 40, during his little ramble, somewhere in the middle of that, I heard him say, but I think this one will go for 47.5. So I wrote that number down as that was certainly the higher of the two numbers. And of course, I want to see my client do well. JP, our car indeed hammered for $58,000 even, where it sold on 21 bids. Before I check with Randy B, I think our boy Anthony Vieira told me he bid $58,000. So Anthony, shout us out in the Nerd Herd if you got yourself a Yahtzee. Well done to you. JP, that is a number that certainly made our sellers very happy. It also made our winning bidder, Sally, I'll hold her last name up, but Sally and her husband are with us in the Nerd Herd tonight. They bought the car. They're super excited. They, JP, might even fly to Stockton, take a little Uber over to Lodi or get picked up by the sellers and drive this car home to Arizona. So AZ Road Running in the Nerd Herd is Sally and her husband who are watching tonight. Congratulations to them. They are ecstatic about their first 911. They're rocking a Macan and a Cayman S respectively. And now the family has a beautiful 997.2S to add to the garage in Arizona. It's been very, very nice to meet them. And so it's just kind of a happy-go-lucky, like, oh, isn't that sweet? So our sellers are happy. Our winners are happy. JP, I'm happy. Are you happy? Look at this. What do you think, man? That's a pretty damn good result. What do you say?
John Claywolf, our guest from last episode, did not just not like this car. He interrupted you, which was probably about the 20th interruption in the show by that point. He interrupted you to yell, "Sucks! Sucks!" And I'm just sitting there going, oh, God, I was just like, I was grunting. It's like we're doing the show and we got to be nice to our guests. If you've ever seen John Claywolf, look, Porsche could have made a numbered edition of this car in this colorway. This is PCA spec if I've ever seen it. And if there's ever been a guy who looks like he was born with pleated shorts, it's John Claywolf. They could have called this the John Claywolf edition and sold them for $10,000, $20,000 more than stock. I mean, he is the epitome of PCA. He always wears little collared shirts with something embroidered on the chest. I mean, he looks like his whole entire wardrobe is probably all PCA clothing that you can can order from their website. I don't know why he was so against this car. His idea that this thing is only a $40,000 car, that makes me seriously question his ability to accurately assess the value of cars, because maybe he knows a thing or two about a Dodge or a Honda or even a Ferrari, but he certainly doesn't know the 997 market, because it is a big deal for these out there, especially the .2s. But anyways, congratulations to the new owner. This is a great looking car. It is definitely kind of an under the radar spec, we'll call it. And congrats to my partner for getting it sold and finding a great set of new owners. What do you guys think of the results? Looks like somebody got a Yahtzee in the nerd herd. I think BD got a Yahtzee, so congrats.
I thought,
what's that?
I thought Anthony did, but I guess not. I don't know. Let's see who's. I don't
BD,
know.
hit me
Anyway,
up
cool.
on the Instagram with a DM and with an address, and we'll get you your own beer cozy. I'm gonna put my beverage in the beer cozy right now. It's just Coke, guys. Get over it. I'm not going to get drunk like John did on the last episode. All right, Deeb, what's the next car on the list? What do we got? This car definitely doesn't seem like there's fatigue going on, because the car did well. But will the next car
JP,
be a little different?
Yeah, we've got a couple of muscle cars to cover. The first one is actually from 2 shows ago. I had picked this car when we had Mike Musto on from Hemmings. But then that car was closing the day after the following show. So anyways, here we go, JP. Let's circle all the way back to our 1970 Ford Mustang Boss 429 with the NASCAR Hemi engine. This was a homologation special. And JP, this car has always been on paper underrated as far as specification, always implying 370 horsepower when dyno tests on this car suggest that this car makes like 500 to 550 at the crank. This is a really, really cool car. And I often wonder why they're not bringing $500,000 or more when you consider all the special stuff that went into it and all the secrecy that went around keeping its true identity hidden. JP, this car had transacted a couple times before on Bring a Trailer. So it arrived as a premium and alumni listing out of Austin, Texas. The photographs are fair, the color is eye-catching, and the performance is like legendary. JP, our friends at Classic.com tell us that the average selling price of one of the 1970 Mustang Boss 429s is $329,000. JP, I apparently the only one between me, you, and Musto that thought that car might actually get to that number. Thus, my bid, $329,000. JP, you took the under at $294, $290, and Mike Musto at $301 even. Our car hammered for $360,000, where it sold on 86 bids. Again, Marty report 2 previous trips over the last 6 years on BAT. Suddenly this car has got, a paper and digital trail. Thus, it's got excellent provenance. People have been watching this car. It's rung the bell a couple of times over $300,000, and somebody just paid top dollar for a 1970 muscle car at the end of the season, and they fought over it to the tune of 86 bids. JP, this is definitely an outlier. I do not believe this is a sign of things to come. This car did really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been a boomer off, because this was a battle royale, man. This thing had 86 bids. I mean, yeah. I can just see, the walkers and the TV guides flying as the last remaining boomers with any money to spend on cars were going at it for this thing. It is a neat car, but man, do not let yourself be conned into thinking that Mustang muscle cars are on the up. These are not going up in value.
No.
Maybe this one in particular, and maybe some very special ones, but by and large, 70s muscle cars are going the other way. So congrats to the seller, and hopefully the new owner is going to drive this thing. I'm guessing that this particular car has an upside in the future, but watch it if you think you're going to, invest in Mustangs. Yeah, you got a giggle. What's going on?
Yeah, you're just your boomer fight. I just imagine somebody getting in the car and pulling down the sun visor, and it's a "Do not resuscitate."
Yeah, it's like instead of I mean, just you don't need a DNR. You just get in this car and drive it off a cliff. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, look, this is a lot better than a Sarcopod, right? If I'm like I'm either going to the long-term care facility, or I can get in my bright blue Mustang and drive off into the sunset. That's the option I would take. 3 pedals. That's my kind of octogenarian. All right, what do you guys think of the results of this Mustang? Do you agree with me and maybe even my partner that Mustangs in general are not going up, but this one might be? Let us know in the comments. And what's the next car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, to modify or not to modify seems to be the question of the decade. Would a Chevrolet Chevelle Malibu Sport Coupe be more valuable if left alone, or you take out the motor, throw in a super powerful, supercharged 383 stroker that's making like 600 horsepower on the dyno, add a 5-speed and some 17-inch wheels and red brake calipers, and would it be worth more? That's the question our seller out of Eugene, Oregon was asking to the audience at Bring a Trailer when this car graced its pages. JP, I think all of us agreed, me, you, and Clay Wolf, for once, that this car would have been worth more money if left alone. John, my bid, which was the highest, was $30,383. Your bid, $30,000 even, and Clay Wolf way under you at $23,500. Classic.com tells us that if this car were stock, it would be on average $66,000. JP, our car hammered for $47,750 where it's sold on 28 bids. I'm going to go on record as saying that is a more surprising result than that Boss 429 bringing $361,000 with good provenance. I can't believe somebody dropped 50 grand on this car. I am shocked. My take on this, very well sold. What say you, JP?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely another example of them putting meth in the Jello bowl at the old folks' home. I can't believe. I mean, It must have been like, the TV room down there, and all the nurses are going, "What is going on?" Now, look, I don't actually hate this car. This isn't a crazy expensive build, but that thing got a lot of power. I think you could de-boomer this car by getting, like, if you just got rid of the chrome wheels. That alone would make a huge difference on how this car looks. The right period correct or period, it's like I think John was even talking about, was it him or a previous guest that was talking about how resto mods are finding a place. We are seeing a life for 60s and 70s muscle cars going a little longer than they should.
Musto.
Was it Musto? Yeah, Musto was a great guest because he understood that these cars, people are looking for craft, right? They're looking for manual things. They're looking for those old machines that they can work on and have fun with. And there's just not so much available in that, 80s, 70s, or rather the 80s and 90s and early aughts, which is where the market is really hot. So people are kind of going backwards, going, okay, are there opportunities with the older cars? Something like this, you put a set of something that looks cool that isn't chromed out, and you could have a lot of fun with this thing. Maybe change some of the interior bits as well, and maybe you could make this car into something that wouldn't be quite so embarrassing to drive around in, and you wouldn't need a lawn chair to sit next to it at the car show. What do you guys think of the results of this Malibu? Let us know in the comments. And before we move on, I just want to make it very clear that we love boomers. Okay, I know we ish on them all the time on this show, but I'm basically a boomer adjacent. So is my partner. I just feel like, our boomers are ahead of the curve. The boomers that hang out and watch Bid Nerds are the ones that aren't sitting at the car show in their little lounge chairs drinking drinking with John Claywolf on their little portable radio in the background, listening to, whatever it is that they listen to. Okay, let us know what you think about the Malibu. What's the next car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, our good friend Chris Carbine was selling a beautiful 2025 BMW M2 with a 6-speed manual transmission, presented in the pretty color of skyscraper gray metallic. His personal car now showing 3,100 miles. Chris got some pretty sexy snaps and threw it up on Cars and Bids. And then JP, we took a quick look and tried to guess where we thought Chris's car would sell. JP, the sticker price on this car was $72,000, which is probably what Carbine paid for it. I don't think there's addendums on the standard M2. He enjoyed the car for a year, listed it, and then we wondered aloud, how much better, how would this car fare, considering if you went down to the BMW dealership today, you'd probably have to pay a tariff on your new M2, something Carbine did not have to contest with at the time he transacted on this car. JP, despite the sticker being 72, I thought this car probably bring a little more than sticker. My bid, 74 grand. Your bid, 73 grand. And Clay Wolf at sticker at 72 grand. Classic tells us that the average selling price for these in the secondary market is 67. Carbine's car hammered at $63,000 after 33 bids had taken place, but the car failed to sell. Carbine told me himself that he just didn't feel comfortable pulling the reserve and letting it go for that number. And of course, he was rewarded by that action. Chris Carbine at Carbine Motor Cars is in fact a car dealership. This car transacted just about a day later, and the car has since sold, and Carbine now has a smile on his face. So, JB, are you surprised that the bidding stopped at 63, which is $4 grand under what Classic tells us they're transacting at? Would you have taken the money, or was Chris smart to hold out for, let's say, a few more dollars?
No, I think Chris did exactly what needed to be done, because I think this is a perfect example of the fatigue being real. People are so sick and freaking tired of these manufacturers that are capable of making amazing cars. This car may not be my cup of tea when it comes to the aesthetics, but this is the kind of car that BMW needs to be making. Everything else they make sucks. All their stupid SUVs and all their M series, they put an M badge on everything, from their little cars to the big cars. They make way too many cars with slushy, bad transmissions that are made for people who just think that BMW is still a status symbol. And when they finally make something good like this, a 3-pedal sports car with a 3-liter and turbos, people get excited about it. People are like, okay, this is badass. But people are just done with paying extra money for the good car. BMW, stop making the crappy cars that sit on your lot and don't sell, and make some more of these in volume, and you might actually make some money, and you might save your damn brand. I don't know any enthusiast that gives two issues about BMW anymore. They have completely gone off their radar. People don't even shop BMW anymore. I didn't even know that this car was still a thing. I thought the last M2 was kind of the last manual transmission car. I didn't even know they were still making them. So, I mean, nobody's paying attention to BMW. What do you guys think of Chris's BMW? Do you think he did a good job letting it go after the sale, or should he have just cut his losses and gotten the hell out? Let us know what you think in the comments, and let's move on. Deeb, what's the next car?
All right, JP, we're going to run right through this 2023 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat Redeye wide body Jailbreak. Way too many nicknames. JP, this particular car has 47 miles on the odometer and is listed on BAT out of Houston, Texas. Essentially, John, somebody purchased this car, put it in the garage, and they're speculating on the right time to turn the car over to the market, and I'm assuming make money over sticker price, since presumably Dodge is not making exactly this car anymore. Let's see, JP, I kind of want to open this up just for half a second and tell us, I think it was like 86 grand. JP, $91,800 was MSRP. That's relevant because we got to try to figure out a place to put our bids. I thought the car, JP, had a chance to get to $100,000 because I don't think they're making it, and this car still has delivery miles. JP, you took the under by $1 at $99,999, and Clay Wolf went over all of us at $115,000. Classic says $88,000 in the secondary market, but those are cars that are used. This one is still essentially brand new. The only thing is that the warranty started ticking once this in-service date was produced, presumably back in 2023. JP, here's where it gets interesting. Our car hammered for only $77,750, where it failed to sell on 16 bids. So we got a low pot and we got a really low, bid count. Nobody was interested in this car. So is it a platform thing? Like, if you want to sell a muscle car, should you be on what's that dump I used to work for, Haggerty or like Hemmings? Or do you think you came to the right one and you didn't have good enough assets? Like, what was the biggest roadblock? Is it the current
none
climate
of those
of the
things,
market?
my brother? None
What
of
do you
those
think?
things. None of that had
What is
anything to do with the failure of the sale of this car. You could put it on any platform. The problem is Stellantis, the company that owns Dodge. They have completely screwed up expectations. This is where the fatigue is at its peak. I think I want to say that Dodge made somewhere in the neighborhood of like 40,000 of these damn things, not the jailbreak version, but Hellcats over the course of at least the 2 or 3 previous years. These are not uncommon cars. Then they said, oh, this is going to be the last one, so they only made like 4,000 or 5,000 of them for this particular year. And then what happened? Everything changed politically, and supposedly CARB goes away as part of the big beautiful bill, and Stellantis comes out and they get a new CEO and they say, oh, we're bringing it back. So no longer is this is kind of like, every time the Rolling Stones or whatever boomer band comes out and says, Springsteen says, this is going to be my last concert tour. And everybody goes out and sees it. And then what do? 6 months later, they're out on tour again, in lawn chairs on the stage, phoning it in, making more money to buy their jailbreak cars. This is just people, the fatigue is real and they're freaking over it. And I don't know why people wanted these in the first place.
Okay, so the question then, JP, when we talk about Stellantis devaluing and orphaning all of their special car buyers, even their regular car buyers, like that yellow Jeep I sold a couple of weeks ago, JP, at $77,750 for essentially a brand new leftover 23 with very little warranty left on it. Should the seller have accepted that? Is that all the money for a 0-mile car? Is that like, is he right to walk away from 78,000 because there's $2,000 out there somewhere else? Or is that like, hey man, that's all your car is worth, because I can go down to Stellantis and get a $95,000 jailbreak for $15,000 off?
Well, I mean, look at this photo that this idiot decided to take a picture of his car. Sometimes the subliminal background, he took a picture at the backyard store who's having, it's the clearance center, 60% off, right? How perfect is that for the failure of this particular car? There's so many freaking levels, people. The guy should have gotten rid of this car, because one of the things that John Claywolf mentioned on last episode, and I can't remember if it was about this car or one of the others, but at 70 or 8, what was this? Whatever the sticker price was, he's probably
92.
How much is he paying a month to hold on to this thing? It's got to be pretty damn brutal. So unless he can take that, and that's Anthony Vieira, one of our good friends in the Nerd Herd, brings up, people that want these cars don't have any money. And if they want one, they got to go down and get financing, and their financing is like 20-something% or more. There are people that will accept a $2,000 or $3,000 a month payment for something stupid like this, but they're not getting approved like they were in 2022 and 2023 for stuff like that. So this car is DOA. Whoever owns this, he's stuck in making that payment. He should have taken the money and run and written a check to make up the difference. So what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Let's move on, because we got lots to cover. One
more. Okay, we took a quick at a 7,000-mile 2004 Noble M12 GTO 3R. JP, they only made this car for a couple of years. This one is got all the track toy stuff as far as pieces, and it's low odometer. The question is, are Nobles worth anything in the secondary market? According to our friends at classic.com, a Noble, my computer's just not working with me. A Noble, it brings $52,000 in the secondary market. JP, I thought this car would hammer at 58. You took the over at $59,012, and John Claywolf thought this car would sell for $10,000. So, JP,
hold on. Is that him in the reflection? I'm pretty sure that's John Claywolf.
Yeah.
Was he just trolling us?
That's him.
I'm pretty sure
he was
him.
trolling us.
Yeah.
Okay, our car hammered for $56,000 where it sold on 17 bids. Congratulations to the seller. That is very well sold. You got all the money, bro. Good job.
Makes me want to go get one of these. I think that is just so much car for just not much money. I mean, that is just exotic in every way. There aren't very many of these around. They do all the things. Man, and I am so sick of Porsche costs, how much it costs to do any kind of repair or mod. I love the idea of having one of these in my future.
That's a great Vegas car, JP, because y'all got smooth roads and fast roads out there.
Yeah.
Like, that's a race car. Think GT3 RS, but not as much power. That would be a terrible car for me in the Bay Area. So, that's a great car for the money if you live in a place where you can enjoy it. And if you live in Clark County or thereabouts, that's a great car for you. But here by me in the Bay Area, unless it's just your track toy and you're rolling like that, no. Let's go to commercial, JP.
All right, let's do it. We'll be right back with predictions, guys. Stick around if I can hit the button.
Hey, guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair.
I had 4 on the airplane home from Vegas, and I had 3 at dinner, and I had 2 here.
All right, guys, have you cracked open a beer? I feel like we need a John Claywolf drinking game. I should get a little bumper where we just have him taking a swig anytime somebody on the show does something dumb.
Well, from now on, we should just call the Yahtzee prize koozie. We should just call it a Claywolf.
Claywolf koozie. There it is. All right, guys. Is your beer cold? Welcome back to Bid Nerds. It's time for some predictions. All right, what's the first car on the list? Are the buyers experiencing fatigue? Are they getting over it, man? What do you think? And what's the first car? What do we got?
All right, JP, we are going to take a deep dive on this 2002 Ferrari 575M Maranello with a 6-speed manual transmission out of Pompano Beach, Florida, and has just a regular listing on Bring a Trailer. Man, I think if they would have just did better photos, this would have been a premium listing. JP, this car has only 6,000 miles on the odometer, and the timing belts were done just last year in 2024. So, JP, Ferrari came out with the front-engine 550 Maranello, and most, if not all, of those cars were manual transmission. And then a couple of years later, they came out with the .2 version, which is simply the same car. You'd be forgiven for looking at this car and thinking it was a 550 Maranello because they really do look almost identical. But the 575M is the .2. It's I don't know if it's got more displacement, but it certainly has more horsepower and better suspension. It's a more refined second version of the car. Most of these cars had the single clutch F1 gearbox with floppy paddles. I want to say that as a broad stroke, probably just 15% of the 575Ms that were produced, and again, this is my guesstimation having worked with Ferrari, were built with the Getrag 6-speed manual transmission, beautiful gated gearbox. You've got now, I think, over 500 horsepower. Let me see if I can find the photo of the engine. 510 horsepower, 435 pound-foot of torque. JP, this car is an absolute fun. It's an absolute blast to drive. Most of us that drive 911s would be like, oh, that big sloppy 12-cylinder front-engine Ferrari is just a GT car. I am here to tell you, folks, that this was their flagship performance car at the time that it was built. This car can hustle. It may not be a GT3 RS, but this car would be an absolute blast to drive up Angeles Crest Forest or wherever your favorite curvy road is. Don't let the luggage compartment behind the driver's seat fool you into thinking that this is just a 12-cylinder gated manual SL500 or some sort of Lexus. No. This is the real deal. And if you put headers on this thing, JP, it'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. So a super performance car It's not red, which is suddenly now a really important thing for a Ferrari owner, the same way rare shades have been for the last, 15 years now, 12 years for the Porsche community. And we've got a super low odometer and real low build numbers. JP, I think this car is going to rock the boat. And again, I'm surprised it didn't receive premium listing status, although these photos probably have something to do with it. So JP, where are you at on a 575 with a stick? I know you and I are going to cry, oh, foul, low odometer, you idiot, you never drove it. But wait till we see what this car hammers for, and then we'll have to reconsider if we think that the seller who didn't drive the car is stupid, because I have a sneaky suspicion it's about to make a lot of money.
Well, I mean, look, it hasn't had a lot of action for a car that's as big a deal as this one. I would have expected it to be much higher already and have a lot more comments. It just feels like there's not a lot going on here, and I'm worried about fatigue. We're going into fall. We're out of the driving season. Do you think this car is going to live up, or what do you think it's going to bring?
So here's where it gets really interesting. Okay, our friends at Classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a manual 575 is $198,000 in the secondary market. I just want to see if I can whip through this. And so the original sticker on this car was $226. So this car is bringing, about 5%, 10% less than sticker in today's secondary market with average mileage, which is, probably under 20,000 miles. So the car's only had three owners, and the head gasket and the the other thing was done. The timing belt were done in 2024. So some major service has been done. So this car is primed. Here's where it gets interesting. I'm going to tease our bid turn because I've got intel on the car that he didn't find. So I'm putting it back to work. This car was previously listed at Ryan Friedman for $449,000. That was an asking price, and I don't know exactly how long ago that was, but I found that while I was doing my research. Our car is currently sitting at $275,575, and it closes tomorrow. JP, every bone in my body believes this car is going to bring $400,000 or more. I don't know if it gets to Ryan Friedman's old asking price, but my bid to you, JP, I'm all in. This car has everything that the guy who would want one of these cars, it has everything you'd want it to have. It ticks every box. You know what I'm saying? So I'm all in, JP. $400,000 at Hammer, and it sells for that number, and that winds up being probably one of the high watermarks for this particular model, a 75 with a manual. $400 to you, JP. I double dog dare you to go for my bid.
Yeah, not going to happen, and I don't think it's going to get there. I think that this car is going to do well. The question is whether or not it sells. I don't think it's going to break 400. I think it's the wrong time of year for that. We have seen three-pedal Ferraris do really, really well lately. I agree with you, but I think the place to have sold this car probably would have been at one of the live auctions just a month or so ago.
Boss 429.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sorry, JP. I've got a Boss 429 in my throat. 429. Sorry, JP.
I don't think the boomers are sitting around the their TV dinners peeling back. I just don't think they're going to spring for it. I'm going to say 350. 575. I don't think it gets anywhere close to 400. Yeah, and I think FTS is at that too. I think it FTS 575.
So you're saying that this car won't bring as much as the Hammer was on the 429? I'm just pointing out it's about $11,000 different.
Yes, that is correct. I think that this car is way better than the whatever Mustang, but I just don't think it's going to get there. I don't think it's going to happen this late in the season. Let us know what you think in the comments, and let's move on to the next car. That'll be an interesting one to reconcile on the next episode. What do we got?
All right, JP, you and I have been doing this show for, let's just call it a handful of years. And during that handful of years, we have seen the proliferation in value of K5 Blazers and other late 60s, early 70s, all overlanders and trucks and domestic things, from International and Ford and Suburban and all Jeep and all the brands. And what we have seen is that the cars that have the original graphics tend to bring kind of stupid good money. That 70s livery is totally in style. This car has clearly been refurbished, and they went to town with the graphics. So feast your eyes, JP, on a 1978 Ford F-150 Ranger 4x4 running no reserve on Bring a Trailer with the aforementioned, period correct sort of sunset horizon graphics. I don't know what the nickname for that stuff is, but man, you go down to a Toyota dealership and they're slapping this stuff off everything that has all-wheel drive right now. This is completely on brand, to the point where either this car is going to set a record or it's going to fall flat on its face, and then we will know that it has officially jumped the shark. But JP, they've gone to town on this car. They went through the whole thing: suspension, wheels, interior, paint, graphics. It's got a 400 cubic inch V8. Unfortunately, JP, you're going to be pissed to find out it has just a 3-speed automatic. But bucket seats and 17-inch wheels and all the stuff, it is absolutely a looker. And I kind of think this thing is going to do really well, just because he's on brand with what's really working right now. Like, even if you're just pandering to your audience, good on you, man. This thing seems to tick the boxes that buyer wants. Why not? So, JP, I hand over to you an F-150 Ranger 4x4. I don't know much about the 400 cubic inch V8. The 3-speed automatic, like I said, brings me to tears. But tell me you don't look at this and think, man, that's from the fancy houses outside of Snohomish.
Yeah, right. Let's go down to the ranch. Now, the vinyl these days is worth its weight in gold. I mean,
right?
And I've personally experienced a lot of success by taking cars that maybe were a little boomified and kind of changed them up by adding some vinyl. And someone here, it really will be interesting to see how well this thing does just because of the stickers being put on it. I think it is going to hurt, though, the fact that it is a 3-speed. That will really, really hold it back, because this thing, just as cool as it is, it's going to be annoying to drive. What do you think it's going to bring, Deep?
Classic thinks that these cars are worth $27,000. Our car is sitting at $32,500. It has 4 days to go until it closes. JP, that close will then be on a Sunday during NFL, basically week 4 of the NFL season. And that's a 10:53 a.m. on the Pacific, that out here in California. So that's 1:30 or 1:50, almost 2 o'clock in the morning. It's right after the second game start. I think that's a swing and a miss. It's cool that you ran it no reserve. It's short-sighted that you let them close you on a Sunday. You got to speak up and advocate for your own listing. JP, we're at $32,500. We got 4 days to go. I think this car is going to make it to $44,000, but I kind of agree with you. I was thinking if it was a manual, it'd be a $65,000 truck all day. Yeah. But 44, and man, I'm really nervous about that Sunday close. I don't think anybody's going to be watching, so you better hope they get the money early, because it's running no reserve. JP, 44 to you. We're at $32,500.
That is a tough bid to bid against, because that's right where I was going to be. Look, I don't actually have as big a problem with the whole the whole football thing as you do. I kind of disagree. I think these days, when people are in front of screens, no one's in front of one screen anymore. The idea that that someone's going to sit down or go somewhere and just watch the TV. Everyone's got one of these or an iPad or both. And I think that the greatest thing about football and the reason why it's so watchable is because of the whole, it's that people are scoring constantly. And I know everyone's going, wait, no, there's no scoring constantly. They only, get 3 or 4 touchdowns. Now, every first down is a score, right? So, but there's so much downtime in between each down that it allows for lots of Twitter, lots of other things. So I think that I think football day could turn into a day that actually is better for results. But even with that said, I think that 3-speed is really the biggest problem. I'm going to bid it right under you at $53,150 and say, what say you, Nerd Herd? What do you think this Ford will bring? Do you think that vinyl is going to bring an extra $10,000, or do you think that 3-speed is going to hold it back like I do? Let us know in the comments. What's the next car on the list?
Give me your bid again. 43?
$43,150.
150. Excellent.
Yep.
All right, cool. JP, let us jump over, and I'm going to turn my attention to my other computer because my whatever. Let's jump over to Cars and Bids and take a look at what is essentially a 1993 Toyota Supra non-turbo. Our car is listed out of West Palm Beach, Florida. It is showing 73,800 miles. It has a manual 5-speed transmission. This is a 3-liter inline-6 non-turbo. It does have the sport roof, JP, so you're going to love your new Japanese car. But I just thought, JP, it's really interesting. Turbo prices are going crazy. These cars are regularly $150,000. If they're mostly stock and in fair to good condition, you can expect well into the 6 figures. So what we say, JP, what I've heard you say a million times on this show is that the tide rises all ships. So if Supra turbos are going ballistic, is that going to pick up the standard Supra and bring that to a point where it might be out of reach and no longer an excellent choice for a beginner or somebody who's new to sort of the old sports car genre? Somebody wants to get into the young timers, the Radwood, the whole thing. I used to think that this was a great sleeper car because it still handles really, really well. It's an attractive car. There's plenty of goodies for you to shop for in the secondary market. But, where are we at on the values of this car? JP, do you want to give a little opinion and we'll jump into the numbers?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just love kind of the history of this car. The fact that apparently the OG, the original owner, got this car when he was 53 years old. That's back in 1993. And he owned it until he was 80. So how awesome is that? I hope I'm driving a 3-pedal car when I'm 80, if I'm even around at 80. I like this better than a turbo, if I'm honest. I like a naturally aspirated car better. The spec is just perfect. I'm with you though. I'm a little bummed that I think the values of these are just going to shoot up way too high, and they're no longer going to be the value that they used to be. What do you think it's going to bring?
All right, JP. So that's where it gets real interesting. So I ran this car through classic.com. These cars, JP, irrespective of gearbox, automatics and manuals together, these cars average $65,000 in the secondary market. And JP, can you imagine if that's the average, then the manuals bring more. And this one's a manual. And this car looks to be in above average condition and almost completely stock. This one is really nice. My only qualm with this car, JP, is that they're average photos and they're kind of on, it's on Doug DeMiro's site. And is he going to break a record for a standard Supra? I don't think that's going to happen. So JP, our car is currently sitting at $35,000 on just 9 bids, and it basically closes in 2 days from now. JP, my bid is based on what I think the assets and the platform will produce. That number is $58,000. But I think that this car is a $70,000 to $75,000 car all day long and twice on Sunday. I just don't think we're going to see that number on this listing here when it closes. So 58 to you, but it's not a representative of what I think this car is worth. And I don't know if it sells for a 9 number because I think the owner should be expecting 70 or more for this car. So $58,000 to you, JP. I dare you to go over me.
Yeah, that's tough because, didn't this car sell for $66,000 last time? And the owners only had this thing for like 400 miles or something. And it's like if you're going to flip a car, I get that. Okay, fine. You bought this thing. You got an opportunity. You would expect them to come back to market with better assets. So the opportunity is like, okay, here's a car. I think it's coming up in value. I can get it at maybe a little bit lower price. When I bring it to market, I'm going to make it look amazing and really sell how great this car is. And they didn't do that. They just kind of like, this is a whiff, right? So your bid is a very tough for me to bid against. I am going to go higher, though. I do think the fatigue is real. I don't think it's going to make as much money as it did last time. I'm going to go $59,093 and what say you guys? I don't know. The Nerd Herd seems to think it's going to do well. Some of them are saying in the 70s. I think they're right.
That's
if
what
it
the
were
car's
on
worth.
BAT. I agree with you, Deeb, that if this were on BAT and if this car were presented well, I don't know if the bid nerds were selling it. I think this car stands a chance to make $80,000. This car is absolutely fantastic, and it is exactly in that window of appreciating cars. It's young timer. It's been in video games. I mean, Fast and the Furious, for crying out loud. And it's stock.
Right.
It hasn't been molested. This car has so much potential.
So pretty.
And it's
so
some
pretty.
asshole
Look at that
takes
car.
a picture
I
in the
want
parking
to
lot.
drive that car. I want to drive that car. And it's a terrible asset. JP, you're right, though. This car hammered for $66,000 on Cars and Bids back in June. So we're talking about taking a second bite of the apple on the same platform, but this is not BAT. This is Cars and Bids. And I just don't think it's going to do as well second time around. Again, I am completely prepared to eat crow. And if this car rings 70 or more, absolutely, the car is worth it. And a tip of the cap to the platform for getting it done. I just don't think that is what we're about to see. But we'll find out here real soon, JP. This car closes in a couple days.
Let us know what you think, and let's move on. What's the next car on the list, Deep?
All right, JP, how'd you like a Bonneville land speed record car? Feast your eyes on a 1993 Audi S4 Quattro 6-speed manual transmission with 1,200 horsepower under the hood. JP, apparently this car can go 261 miles an hour, ensuring that you will never be late for a meeting ever again in your life. Listed as a private party out of Kansas City, Missouri. I got good intel from the bid turn. This car ran on Cars and Bids back in August, and it was a reserve not met at $33,000 on Doug DeMiro's site. So now showing 158,400 miles, but we're talking more than six figures spent on the engine and the suspension and all the things to ensure that this car can produce crazy horsepower and not tear itself apart. This car is running for a second time, this time on P-Car Market. JP, the assets are poor. But there's some pretty cool driving videos, so you can kind of see what it looks like to go, at blurry speeds that if you had wings, you would take off and fly to New York. Very interesting car, super, super niche. I honestly think a car like this should have run on BAT, but my guess is that the argument was over reserve. Doug DeMiro's site and certainly P-Car Market are much more liberal with handing out reserves just so they can run your car. I just don't know if this car is going to do better than it did on Doug DeMiro's site back in August. So, JP, I know you're not a huge fan of Audis. I love this car. I love the way it looks. I've always been a closet fan for the 5-cylinder turbo version of this car. This thing is ballistic, but it's way too niche. This is really just a vanity purchase for some either Audi fan or some guy with entirely too much money. What do you think about a second bite of the apple on P-Car Market? Where you at?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to... When do they run the land speed record? Is that in spring or is that like in fall?
Yeah.
I think
don't know.
the time to sell this is like late winter, early spring, a few months before the record happens, because then you got people thinking about it. They're going, oh yeah, it's too late to build one, but I really want to go out and have that experience. And oh crap, I can buy this car and I can be out in the salt flats in a month or two running and doing all the fun and having a great time and not have to mess with it. That's when you sell. It's kind of like Burning Man, right? You don't sell an RV 6 months before Burning Man. You sell an RV like 2 months before Burning Man, because that's when everyone's scrambling at the last minute trying to find one. So something like this, I think the people that run that are into this type of thing, part of why they're into doing this is they like building this stuff, right? They like spending the whole winter, the whole off season, talking on the forums and figuring out and trying to, what are we going to do? All the things that go into building something as amazing as this. But at the end of the day, you're only going to be driving it for 15 minutes total once a year.
Yeah.
And I just think people are going into this going, let's buy one. Let's buy the car that we can make into the land speed record car, not one that's already done. But that's my opinion. What do you think it'll bring?
All right, JP, our car closes tomorrow. Our friends at classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a 93 Audi S4, which is a very fun car in its own right, is only $19,000. JP, this car is currently sitting at $8,000 on 4 bids on P-Car Market. Again, thank you, Lucas, for providing us with the data. Again, in August, JP, this car hammered for $33,000 on Cars and Bids. and they didn't take that number. Initially, JP, I wrote down $28,000 as my final bid for that car. I was thinking about taking some money off of it, but I'm just going to leave it there. 28 grand. I'm not even sure that it gets to mine. And if it does, it's not going to happen because he already said no to 33. So my 28 becomes a de facto reserve not met because, again, they've already turned down 33. They're not going to accept 28 this time. So, JP, where you at? It's at 8 grand now. I actually think it's got 20 grand more in it, but still doesn't sell. What's your number for the land speed record?
No one's bidding on this thing. They're all waiting to see what it's going to be for sale in the chum bucket. So, yeah, I think I'm going to give it $16,000. Say maybe it doubles from where it is right now. And then everyone's going to be saying, okay, what do they actually want for the thing? And nobody's buying this thing for $38,000. Not until next July when people are thinking about it going, oh, I want to go and run. It's interesting. Someone mentioned in the comments that someone died this year at the land speed record. So that might be a cooler for something like this. So that's not a good way to generate heat for your auction. All right, what do you guys think it'll bring? Let us know in the comments. And we got time for one more car? Yeah, just real quick. We'll put it on the list.
Okay, we're gonna be selling Yuri's car, and so we just wanted to take a little taste of this generation of car. Yuri's is a little younger, a 76 E3, but this is a 72 BMW Bavaria with a 5-speed manual transmission, some beautiful Alpina wheels. There's a pretty fashionable front chin spoiler on this car that is not a BMW product. I'm almost positive of that. There's a motor swap with a 3.5 liter. What do they call this, JP? It's a 3.5 liter M30 inline 6. So that's got higher compression cylinders, going to make a few more horsepower. I'm guessing this is about 200 horsepower, which will really wake this car up. This car has great lines. They handle really well. It's a fantastic touring car. My dad had a Bavaria when I was in my mid-20s. It was unfortunately strapped with an automatic, but he just picked it up because he saw it for sale. It had like Italian wheels, chromadoras on it or something. And that car was really cool despite not being able to shift my own gears. So this car is very handsome in black, JP. It's sitting at $16,000 and it closes in 4 days. Believe it or not, JP, a manual Bavaria is actually $37,000 in the secondary market, and most of those cars are really beat up. This one looks like it's in really nice condition, even if it's not all original. Like, for instance, those front driver's seats, I don't think are the right seats for the car. I could be wrong. I don't. Yeah,
with the big power buttons on the side. Yeah, I think those are from an M5 or something.
Yeah. So, anyways, but it's a cool car, and I mean, even if this car comes in under 40, I think this is a great starter car. And I love this era of BMW with the 4 headlights and the kitty grills and the manual. They're all great drivers. So 5-speed and 200 horsepower, put me down for $35,000 at Hammer on this one, and I'll take it home. And you guys can all watch my taillights when I cruise away from you on the next hill climb. So JP, where are you at on a Bavaria with a motor swap and a manual, a 5-speed, and all the goodies? This is a cool car. Not for everybody, but
what's your number? What's your number?
35,000 at Hammer on this one.
And where's it at now? I'm sorry.
It's at 16 with 4 days to go.
Yeah, I don't even think it makes 30. I'm going to go $29,028. These are neat. Don't get me wrong. I think it's fun, but honestly, I think BMW has completely screwed up their brand and which has deteriorated their enthusiast, their classic market. I think there are fewer and fewer people that give a crap about these things, even though they're great. And by example, was that 1600 that you tried to sell twice? Yeah. You had one guy, you sold it, and then the guy failed, and then you sold it again, and that almost went south. I think there's just not a love for this generation of BMW anymore like there used to be. So yeah, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. And that is a show. We made it through. Nobody got drunk and nobody got hurt. There it is, guys. All right. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you Sunday nights. And if you want to get some merch, if you want to get some Bid Nerds hats or t-shirts or cozies, or mugs or all the things that we have for sale. We've got the link down in the description, so make sure you do that and say hello to Rochelle when you do it, and then hit the subscribe, like, and notification button if you haven't already. Michael Deeb, you ready for it? Are we done?
Yeah, let's go home.
We're done. See you guys. Maybe if I know which button to push, it's one of these.